rolling. Boom. All right, everyone. Welcome to the May Burlington Advisory Committee on Accessibility. Let's get started. Like I said, I think this may be a short meeting, given that we don't have many people. I got enough people contact me to say they'll be out. Just want to do a roll call of who is here. I'll start off and I'll just pick people on my screen. My name is Nate Pizzaio. I work for the Vermont Center for Independent Living, and I am the chair of this committee. Working on Karen.
Hi, I'm Karen Downey. I'm a retired occupational therapist. Most recently having worked in public schools, including Burlington schools. And I'm also on the board of the Vermont Occupational Therapy Association. I'm a Burlington resident.
Sophie.
Hi, I'm Sophie Sylvain, Parks Comprehensive Planner. So here with Burlington Parks, Rec and Waterfront. And sorry, I'm in my car, but I'm not driving, so I'm safe.
Laura.
Hi, this is Laura. And baby Jordy. I'm with the Department of Aging and Independent Living. Sorry, I'm got my baby with me because he just got 3 vaccinations and he's a little weepy today. So I'm going to keep my video off while I'm here with him. Bye.
Scott.
Hi, I'm Scott Barker, CIO of the City of Burlington.
Allie.
Hi, Allie Fuddy. I'm sorry, that's my daughter Finley in the background. That's why my video is off, because I'm chasing my toddler around during this meeting. But I am a teacher of the visually impaired and orientation mobility specialist and AT specialist currently with the Vermont Association for Blind and Visually Impaired, although very soon taking a new remote position with UMass Boston. So I'm sort of in between. I'm also a Burlington resident with a visual impairment.
And Ethan.
Ethan Fellows, Community Outreach Coordinator for CEDO, which is the Community Economic Development Office of Burlington.
Great, everyone. Thank you for attending today's meeting. If you look in the chat box, I attached a link to the meeting minutes. If anyone wants to see them, we have done the first 2 parts, come to order, introductions, public forum. Allie, I think we can discuss this. I did have this in a part of use committee funds, but I think it's a little different. But I do think this is something where we can talk about the signs right now. And Sophie, I saw Mac sent something out. So regarding just taking a tour, I honestly don't think, I'm guessing it's probably going to be around the bus station. That's the bus drop off. That's what I'm guessing it is. So we could drop off, we can go set up a date, but that's probably something we need to schedule with Max and just meet down there. Is there a timeline in which we, Ali and I are talking next week or the week after? Is there a specific timeline you need us to do that on?
No, it was a community request. So we're trying to meet that request, but we are juggling many things. So if we can fit it in whenever it's convenient for everybody, I think it's better to have consensus than to just rush it through.
Okay. So what I could do is I could propose some times, or Ali, if you want to propose some times, and then it'd be good to get a couple other community members out there in the groups to take a look at it. And I don't know if Ali, if you have anybody in mind, I have a couple people in mind I could reach out and see if they are available to work something out.
Yeah, and if you just want to send Max those names, then he could maybe send out a doodle poll, to just get a consensus on a date, and then as many people that can make it as possible. That'd be great.
Okay. Next on the agenda.
Sorry, it took me a second to unmute myself. I just was going to say, I think that just knowing folks, let me put it this way, there are varying degrees of technology expertise among the visually impaired folks that I know in Burlington. So it might be advantageous if a smaller group picks a day and time, and then I can reach out to those folks. Sorry, that's my daughter. With that day and time to see if they're available, if that makes sense. Because I'm just, a doodle poll might not be the most successful thing
Yeah,
for
you might-
everybody.
Yeah, you might be right. Instead of trying to get to money, you don't want to have too many cooks in the kitchen. Saying
So maybe
something
like
about it.
the smaller internal group can like pick a day, via doodle poll, and then sort of reach out to the community.
Okay. So we could just pick a day and time and then do it. Okay. Next, and hello, Catherine. And next on the agenda, anybody have any news and updates that they would like to provide?
I can update on the playground. So the contractors are waiting for asphalt the end of this week, and then they'll be off-site until the slide arrives. Until then, we don't have any surfacing. So it'll be closed to the public on the playground side, but we're opening the paths through it just because we know people go through it anyway. So fear not, the contractors will be back. We just don't have a timeline on the final pieces of the puzzle. So stay tuned.
Yeah. So it's supply chain issues and all that good stuff.
It's a custom slide. We're at the mercy of the fabricator. Yep. But it'll happen. Hopefully by the next meeting of this group, we'll have a date and news that's like opening time.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else have any updates? I gotta be honest, I don't really have any updates for my end. I don't know. I do know a couple people here that was at the Disability Wellness Day that was last month, which I thought was a good event. A lot of people there, good speakers. Karen did a great job. And that was good. Again, as we're looking at things, I just want to put it on people's radar. I haven't really thought of anything, and I don't know again if it's something, if it goes with the tie-in with the Oakland playground. But the ADA anniversary is July 26th, so I don't know if that could be something where I kind of feel like Oakland might have its own thing, but it could be something where we can kind of tie the two in together about something like that, or at least doing something for the ADA anniversary, which would probably need some planning ahead of time. So I'm all for suggestions. I know in the past we've done stuff at different parks. I do think the last one that was held, I think was at Oakland's Park around the treehouse, but that was a while back. That was well before COVID.
Nate, is there anything going on statewide with BCIL or?
Usually it's been so long. Usually each regional offices take care of some stuff. We usually have one big one. And I've been trying to connect with our executive director about that, about where that's going to be. Usually have one, but usually the Bennington office does one, the Rutland office does our thing, and we did ours. Usually it would be in our office. We did have a couple in tandem with the city of Burlington, which I think was nicer. But I think that was the 25th and 28th anniversary. I think now we're at 33, so it's been a while. So it would be good to get something, even if it's just commemorating. I think last time we gave it, we just kind of down to Oakland and had some people speak about things and serve some, cake and some stuff like that. And I think last time what we did is we had, I think we had some of the adaptive organizations like Bring Adaptive Kayaks and Hand Cycles and some things like that. We could do that again. We could even, and I don't know if it's totally shut down. I don't know if Oakland is on all, but we could even just have it nearby, or is it completely shut off right now?
I'm on another board, the Adapted Bike Board.
The beach is open and everything else is open.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying that I'm on another board that we do adapted bikes. It's Vermont Ambucks. And if the end of June is a time that the paths are open, I can bring it up at our board meeting that we might have a demonstration of different kinds of adaptive bikes We've collaborated with Vermont Adaptive as well. They have some of our bikes.
Yeah.
So, Nate, I can get back to you on that. I have another board meeting tomorrow.
Yeah,
So,
that sounds good. That sounds good. And I'll bring it up at the NDAA, Northeast Disabled Athletic Association has a meeting coming up, and we can discuss what we can do to bring our stuff to that. Okay,
We also purchased a Moby chair for Oakland.
oh, cool.
And we're trying a new mat between the edge of the ramp down to the beach and the beach. We just received it. It's not in place yet, but it will be, in the next couple of weeks. So it'd be something to try out as well.
Okay,
And
Where will
promote. We'd
those-
love to promote the chair at Oakland. It's new.
great. How do people access that? Like, would they contact someone that they want to try it or?
So this year we were talking about leaving it out on the beach so people see it, and then can use it from there. And then next year, we'd have it in the shelter just near the beach, and you'd have to ask an attendant, but that we have attendants there all year round. So, or not year round, sorry, during the high season.
there
So
would
that
be
would be the
someone
easiest way.
there.
I'm afraid there would be someone there. Yeah.
Good, yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully then we're trying some new mats that we haven't had at our parks before and seeing how those work compared to the previous mats we've used. Just we'd love feedback on it,
So are these mats down on the beach or are they up on the playground?
The mat is to connect the ramp down to the beach, and it's to
Okay.
go over the beach sand so you can roll down into the water. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Laura wants to know if you're worried about folks stealing them.
Yeah,
No. Well, the Moby chair, as far as I know, it'll be brought out every day and brought back in. And there's, like I said, there's a few attendants at Oakledge, so it'd be during the daytime. Our bigger problems there are people racing down the road more than anything, but that's why I think in future years we'd want to bring it back in and back into the shelter. Also, just because of UV and deterioration of it. But the mats, we haven't had problems at North Beach with people taking them, so hopefully it'll be okay. But we want it to be functional. We want people to use them, so we can't just store them up all the time, But yes, it's all of that's in the back of our minds.
I will say that we've had these things where we've gone to schools and done demonstrations of adaptive equipment, and the challenges people have to open your doors and bring these wheelchairs in. And usually what happens is the kids get in there and run around in them and pop each other in wheelies and all these things and like climb with each other, like, this is awesome. And it's like, it's supposed to show you how difficult it is to get into inaccessible areas, and it's not a demolition derby. But yeah, I can see how people might take the chairs and like run around like crazy with them on the beach. Okay, so maybe we could work on setting up a time, and that might be something that VCIL, maybe the city of Burlington, and maybe some of the organizations all kind of work together on setting up something like that. To put some dates. I will bring it up to my boss and see if we have any specific locations for that in mind. Okay.
Nate, just as
Yeah.
a follow-up to that as well, I was gonna wait maybe to bring this up, but it's like sort of good timing, I guess, since we're talking about these kinds of things. The White Cane Awareness Day is October 15th, typically, although we haven't set the date in Burlington when we're gonna celebrate it. Sometimes it's not the 15th and sometimes it's around that date for people's schedules. But it would be really great. So typically what we do is sort of like, is kind of, I don't know, a parade of folks with canes, and there's a walk kind of around, downtown, kind of featuring some of the like audible pedestrian signals and things like that, pointing out truncated domes and what their purpose is, and those pieces. It would be great if folks from this committee wanted to be involved, but also, you know, before pre-COVID, it was like not atypical for like somebody from the mayor's office to join and somebody from maybe Public Works to join, just to talk about like some of the challenges that Burlington residents, you know, have traveling in the community. So just as we get closer to October, I know things have to go on the schedule very early for some of the more like senior members of different departments in the city. So I don't know, I would just love some guidance from the city folks too, as we get closer about, you know, what is the best way. We would love, basically we would love to have some people with, you know, some real power, I guess, be involved in these conversations with us, but also recognize that if they were going to be, would kind of need to be on their calendar very early. So any advice around that would be welcome.
I think what we could do is maybe create an invite for the committee to, you know, maybe send it to the mayor's office or also just to the public. I used to do that every year. It was pretty fun. I always used to get kind of worried about using the glasses that turn off your peripheral vision because I'm driving in a wheelchair and I'm on a sidewalk and I'm always worried about getting too close to a curb. But I haven't done it obviously since COVID, so it'd be great. Did I start again this year, Ellie? Or have you been doing it a couple years?
So we've been doing white cane awareness through COVID, but it just was really different because of you know, some of the restrictions. So I think they may have done something small last year, and it's hard for me to remember because I was like a little bit of a flurry of having an infant. That was like a little bit more of a gathering, but this year we're like really trying to kickstart white. You know, and there was a time like when I first started, even at the agency, like 7 years ago, like white, you know, it was kind of a big deal, and a lot of folks would show up from the city, and I just feel like it was always a great catalyst to kind of get city folks thinking, like, gosh, this audible pedestrian signal that sounds like a bird probably isn't the best thing, because if I was blind and trying to cross the street and I heard a bird, I might walk out in the street. So, like, just those like real lived experience connection things, I hope have gone a long way for folks working in the city to collaborate with visually impaired folks better. So yeah, so you would be comfortable, Nate, with us, like once we come up with a date, like maybe from the platform of this committee, like creating an invite to members of different, you know, important city departments.
Yeah, well, I think we can certainly send something out, and then obviously I know since I've now gotten master, we're putting it on the that calendar that we send some things out early about Burlington events. Maybe we could do that and just get the word out, and I can always send it to my calendars. Laura also said that she always learns about them too late, but would love to be involved in the next one. So Laura, sounds like Laura's game as well.
Yeah, I think that's why we're trying to set the date really early this year, like again, so that we can invite city council members and like folks from the mayor's office and things and get it on their calendar way in advance. So that, like you're saying, it's not kind of like, well, 2 weeks from now, I don't have that time on my calendar.
Yeah. Okay. Catherine.
I just wanted to add, I think this is a great idea, and that with advance notice, we can, I believe, get some high level participation from hopefully the mayor or someone in the mayor's office. Also, we have some city councilors who are pretty focused on accessibility, especially Sarah Carpenter. So I think it might be also helpful, and I'm happy to help facilitate this, but to get the word out to some of our city councilors. And in general, I've been very busy with the budget. By the time we meet next month, it'll be better. But I've been wondering how I can help facilitate better information sharing between the council and this group. And this might be one small way we could do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we would. I was just going to ask you what would be the best way to do that. And I don't know if you'd be the conduit where we would come up send things to you and you would send them to the group or what, but we can certainly talk about ways to do that. But I think it'd be great if we got, you know, the mayor and even some of the councilors, city councilors on board.
Yeah, well, I'll
Laura,
push my
oh.
folks then to, to set the date so that we can move forward that by the next meeting.
Laura, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I'm just curious about the city of Burlington. They host a number of events. Are those posted on the website? And if so, can you add something saying that there will be interpreters available or captioning or something more about access in an obvious location rather than just advertising the event without offering that access? For example, government meetings don't say anything about who to contact, that there is any access available, like a contact name or place phone number of a staff member. I don't have any way to just reach back and say, please remember to invite interpreters or provide interpreters.
I'm happy to respond to that. Yes, and that's a really good point, Laura. All of our meetings are supposed to at least include language referring people to a contact where they could find out more information about accessibility. So it's good feedback. I mean, it's unfortunate, but it is useful feedback for me to hear from you that is not working. And so that's something I will look into. And of course, for this event is something we would especially want to make sure we were doing a good job of advertising all the ways in which we're making it accessible. And maybe that's a way that we start moving forward as more of a model.
Well, for example, last weekend, someone mentioned on Facebook, reached out asking me, oh, Burlington's hosting a Pride Day event. Woohoo, where do we get a hold of somebody asking for an interpreter? I mean, it could have all been very easily accessible as it was advertised. It's like a scavenger hunt.
So correct me if I'm
That way.
correct me if I'm wrong, but I did see, and I'm going to share it in there. I thought we discussed this at the last meeting. And Ethan, correct me if I'm wrong, but if somebody wanted to schedule interpreters for an event, Ethan, would they be reaching out to you, and would you be doing that? I thought something in my brain remembers talking about that last time, but I can't remember for sure.
So
Well,
yeah,
this is Laura. The problem is it depends on who's the host. I don't know who's hosting or running an event. Obviously, it's the city of Burlington, or maybe it's another organization who happens to be in Burlington and is hosting the event. And it's not really clear to me.
Yeah.
That's what I'm grappling with.
I think that's a really good point, because I was just thinking about the example of the Pride Day, and I'm thinking, I don't actually know for sure, but I don't think that is a city-sponsored event. And so I think that's the problem. So our CEDO department, Community and Economic Development Office, runs what we call a language access program. And while it is in many ways focused on reaching people who speak different languages, sign language and other adaptations are a part of that program. So let me talk to the person who is in charge of that, and because they are also, of course, very engaged across the community. And Laura, maybe we could circle back and talk in more depth offline about how we could do a better job.
Excellent. Yes, please. I feel like there are a lot of deaf and hard of hearing folks who
Yeah.
go to see things in the city, and I want to make sure that they're impressed. So we can show our best foot forward and how there is access and without doubt.
Good,
So I
me
just,
too.
yeah, so I just want to go back to my question to Ethan. Are you, so I just wondering for scheduling, because it was that language access plan, I could share it. If somebody was needing interpreters for any event with that, would you be the one to reach out to that's sponsored by the city? I just want to make sure I understood that clearly. I'm just reaching in my memory banks trying to remember something.
Hi, yeah, I'm one of the people working on the language access policy. So basically our current policy is, and I can understand the struggles you're facing with finding who's hosting. But we do manage a language access budget to help other departments as well, if they can't afford or they don't have a budget set aside for language access. That is something we will, we try and work with other departments on to make sure they can get interpreters. Our current policy is to try and reach out to us at least 2 weeks in advance. And also, if you don't know which department is hosting what, you can also reach out to us about that as well. We can try and help you, find out who that is and make sure something's getting done on that end.
Yeah, so I just want to quickly share this. I was just looking at oh, where is it? Where are you? Oh my God, I have so many screens up. I can't find it. Yeah. But I was just looking at the advisory committee webpage, and that link was put in. Oh, here it is right here. So hold on here. Let me just share this very quickly. So when you go onto the site, up top it says City ADA webpage, and we would click that. And I think it would be good to, this discusses the down here, effective communication, modification, Americans with Disabilities, as Catherine, and then I think, and Ethan, your name down here, it would be nice to have some kind of, somewhere along here, about scheduling interpreters, or that having you put on there. I think this is it's great that it's been connected to the committee's page, and it would be nice to have something to kind of flesh out who to contact about certain issues, about specific things. Again, we have Title I, Title II, we have these right here. Then general accessibility inquiries. Ethan Fellows, I don't know if we want to say something like ADA interpreting, etc., or something for more, to make that more specific about what those are, so people can understand what they're looking to. And it would be good to kind of, put that information on some announcements. I don't want to load Ethan with more work, but it would be, that might be a good option to do, to kind of clarify what some of the general inquiries are.
Yeah, that's fine, Nate. That's part of my job. But yeah, I think this came up last meeting as well. And I don't want to say anything definitive without Vanessa or Scott here. But I don't know if you recall, but in our last meeting we brought this up, and Scott said that
Yep.
there was something he had to do in order to make that happen
Yep.
with the page.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and I just noticed he was off. So that's it. I noticed he left. So I brought that up a little bit too late. Okay. And Laura, any other questions?
Not at the moment.
So moving on the agenda, which I completely lost. There we go. Yeah, so I guess the upcoming thing is, and I don't even know if it's too late, is there, we've been having this discussion for a while now about using of anything we can use the committee funds for. And Catherine, you're gonna tell us better than we know. I mean, I don't know if it's so late in the game, using funds to do anything. You know, we had talked about things like, you know, either, I don't know if there's anything we can do towards the tactile signs. It looks like those are all set. And one discussion we had was adult changing tables, maybe seeing, you know, purchasing those and then seeing if they could be put somewhere. I know we had discussed different areas, um, you know, around the, you know, I think one thing I said was Miller Rec seemed to have big open accessible bathrooms. I think Sophie mentioned a place down by the waterfront that might be, again, I can't remember what that was. If that's something we may be able to use funds for, um, just to know that we're using it to improve accessibility. And I don't even know what the process of that is. I don't even know what the bidding starts at. I just know that we had talked about, you know, wanting to use these funds to help accessibility, in certain areas, and what it would take to get the ball rolling on that, even if it's might be seeing as though we're halfway into May and June is, you know, right around the corner.
Yeah, I think we just need to decide what we want to spend them on and ideally commit the funds by June 30th. I will say that as the budget stands now, we do have an allocation of funds in next year's budget. And we advocated before I got on this committee, probably 2 years ago, for a budget of $15,000. And so we've had that. The capital committee, of which Sophie, Scott, and I are a part, along with a lot of other people across the city. And that's where a lot of these big projects like the Oak Ledge accessibility project, really any capital project goes through. So that budget is also being prepared along with the other city budgets. And the capital committee currently has set aside $100,000 for accessibility, which would be nice, assuming that we don't have to make any cuts and that chunk stays in there. And I think not that we shouldn't feel pressure to spread this year's money, we may still want to do that, but just so people know it's not like we won't have money left next year. I'm cautiously optimistic we might have an even bigger chunk that perhaps could help us to do some more meaningful projects, or, you know, if things come up and Sophie or Laura Wheelock, for instance, from DPW is telling us about a project and we have these ideas and it's not part of the original scope of work, then that's where we could come in and say, it's okay, Public Works, you don't have the money, like we have the money to help make this more accessible. So I think that's a conversation we might want to have too, is like how we want to use those funds now and in the future.
Okay. So I guess the question is, do we want to, anyway, it's really now looking forward though, you know, once we start in a new fiscal year, hopefully if we get the funds again, is really have a robust conversation about how we want to use it and get the, not sure we want to just run and like, you know, do a fire buy of different stuff. You know, I was just trying to think of some ideas. I still like, you know, I do know that the adult, I always preach the adult changing tables, but I know it's a project near and dear to many Burlington, you know, residents' hearts. It would be nice to do something. I guess it would just be figuring out, you know, if you buy these tables, where can they go and what the process is of putting them in and getting them installed. And I just happened to be at the bathroom at Miller Rec a few months ago, and I'm like, wow, this is a really big bathroom. This would be really utilized for something like that. So, but then I don't know what it takes getting one put in, or even in just one of the bathrooms, you know.
Good.
And I wanted to follow up on that too, because we did ask the school district if they had any of the larger changing tables left over that they used in the past, and we didn't get a response. I saw that email from Victor. Nate, I think it was shared with you and I.
I did see it, yeah.
Yeah, and we haven't heard back from them. They may have an older wooden table that could be used. So. Can I ask the question too? You know, the Oak Ledge bathrooms that project is really running. So this money for another adult changing table, is there presently a public bathroom that, other than the Miller Center, that we have available? In terms of a building?
Well, we have several buildings. It's just a matter of figuring out if we have the space for the adult changing table because of the just space limitations. I would think in Oak Ridge, we're having to retrofit that space so it can fit
Right.
in there.
Right.
So that's the information we just don't have right now.
And I'm also
that's
thinking
part
of,
of our steps.
okay, I'm also thinking where it would be really used by people. You know, in terms of families with adolescent children, that they may need that size table. They can't use a smaller table. I'm thinking, you know, Letty skating rink, Miller Center. Where are the buildings across the city that even have public bathrooms, number one? And number two, would a table be appropriate there based on the activities that are going on in the building? So
one place that comes to mind, and again, I don't actually know if there's a physical space large enough for this, but just I'm thinking of spaces where I know families where kids who would benefit from having a larger size changing table congregate, and you know, where I interact with them and see them is like the library would be
Right,
a big
the
one that
library.
comes to my mind.
and
Fletcher
I'm
Free.
thinking bathroom space at the library. The children's section is really, really small.
Yeah.
Adult sized bathrooms are upstairs. You have your elevator, but yeah.
Well, I think, so it sounds to me from the sounds of it though, is maybe this might be a thing to focus really on for next fiscal years. I still would be interested in figuring out the process of, I mean, it sounds like you might need to have somebody come in and do an assessment of the size of the bathrooms and do that to make sure it works with adult changing tables. I'm just, you know, obviously can't just buy one and stick it in there and hope for the
Right.
best. I'm not really sure what the process is, but maybe try to come up with a process, maybe think of a few sites this coming and try to get that process started, you know, the new year. You know, just
Well,
do
I would
that.
definitely like to be part of that, you know, and I'm thinking across the city, you know, locations that are used for different activities that pull in people that may benefit from that. So
And I'm wondering too about, is there any potentiality, maybe not with these funds, but for like public private partnerships, and that like the other two big places that immediately come to my mind are the YMCA and ECHO, which obviously have a lot of public benefit but are private entities.
You know, it was actually funny because I think this is something I was talking to my wife about. We actually went to, for Mother's Day, I took her to Champlain Chocolates, Lake Champlain Chocolates on the big one on Pine Street, and we went to the bathrooms. I'm like, whoa, these bathrooms are huge.
they are.
And it would be nice to not to even you get and we talked about this numerous times, that not only just get a changing table, but again, I think we talked about this, to create a map that you could put on the Burlington site, which say these are where the big accessible bathrooms are. And yes, you know, Lake Champlain Chocolate's not open all the time, but during certain times of the day they are open, and they do have big accessible rooms. You know, there's places like, you know, like the coffee place on Church Street has really big bathrooms, and you don't want just people just walking in and using them, but just really highlighting where things like big wheelchair accessible multifamily bathrooms are. Those are all some of the things we talked about doing, putting it on there.
Well,
And
the boathouse and also the sailing center. And I haven't been in the sailing center bathrooms to really check out the size. But, you know, they have programs where folks could benefit.
the sailing center isn't the most accessible building for a new building, I will tell you that. I was in there, kind of had a little lip, that's kind of like a side, like little entrance, but I was you know, but just some ideas to think of. But it sounds like this is something, when I'm thinking about projects we can look into go forward. I know we talked about voting being one of them to try to look at, and this could be another one. along with some other things.
Nate, I have a question that I said that I would ask of this committee for these funds, and something that maybe really could happen before the end of the fiscal year, if this would be appropriate use of the funds or not, because I'm newer to the committee. But right now, VAB, the Vermont Association of Blind and Visually Impaired, is working with Ali Dieng and the some other stakeholders in the community to put together a day. It's going to be primarily geared towards the new American community, especially like aging folks in that community, so they're aware of the resources that are available for individuals with visual impairments. And we're starting with Burlington. And there's some costs associated with that. And I know VABI is sort of working with the city to try and see if we can fray some of those costs, because there's a lot of interpreters needed in transportation and things like that. But I had spoken with John about, I would ask this committee if that would be something that, that we would be open to, or it'd even be appropriate for John to approach the agents or the committee about, some kind of grant or something to go towards that.
I think that's a great idea. I guess my question is, does it have, as long as, now Catherine, is it as long as the money is spent before the end of June, does the event have to take place before the end of June, or could it be something where funds are allocated for the event? Ali, when is the event scheduled to take place?
So we're working with like community stakeholders and the new American, like the individual new American communities that we're trying to target to find a date. It's probably going to be this summer, but I doubt it'll be before the end of June. So I don't know if there's a way to provide, a grant, that could be dispersed before the end of June. Of course they have a detailed budget for that could be presented, but those would be the questions I would have, I guess.
Yes, I think that is an interesting idea. And Ali, there probably is a way to do that if we got a request, with a budget and we were just funding part of it and it was coming after the end of the fiscal year. I think there probably is a way for us to issue that check from this year's funds. So if it sounds like other people think this is a good idea, or at least Nate and I do, and I don't see or hear other objections. So I think it's worth moving forward and getting something sent out to this group so we could, potentially put that money to work for something good.
I agree. I agree. I think of all the things we discussed, this is probably the most ready to take action type thing if we have it, if it can get active budget. Yep.
Yeah, I can follow up with John, very soon and get him to send a budget. I think that the other thing just to parcel out is that I know he was working with, or like his next step sort of he'd been directed towards is I'm going to mess up the acronym and I'm going to try not to, but I'm still trying to get it. Is it the Racial Inclusion and Belonging Council?
Yep.
Is that RIBC?
REIB. Mm-hmm.
REIB, that's what it is. Yes. Racial Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging. Gotcha. Okay. REIB. I know that he was trying to work with REIB, and there was some interest there. So maybe as a collaboration between, this working group and REIB. The expense wasn't huge. It just was, there are some expenses to make sure it really is. They're using a similar model that was used, for those who are aware of the conversations around gun violence, where, transportation was provided and food and community, like point people were paid to bring community members together. And so we're using a similar kind of model.
Okay, great. So Ali, if you think you could have John submit a budget to, well, really go to Catherine, you can include me in it, but I think Catherine will be the one making the decision. I think we have a quorum here. I mean, I think we can all just, I don't know if we need to vote it here, but I think we have enough people here saying that we're in favor of this. So I don't know if there's an official challenge, even though I don't even know we're actually officially appointed, but I say let's just go forward with that. And if you want to get a budget out, and we can figure out what to do with that.
Yep, I'll touch base today or tomorrow with, I'm saying John, but John Thomas he's also been heavily involved in the tactographic project. He's our director of development at VABV. So when I'm saying John, that's what I'm talking about.
Just
Great.
on that note, I was wondering if we want to develop, just a form or something that either departments or individual groups like we're talking about could submit requests for funding if that's the way we're going to proceed. This being kind of the test one for going into the next year, because like you're saying, there are opportunities where we have projects outside of the scope. We identify a way to add, increase accessibility, but we don't have the funding necessarily. If we could submit that'd be helpful.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing. I think that'd be the best process, is maybe accept requests rather than us kind of sit around and maybe come up with ideas ourselves, which we could do if there weren't any. But I think a good idea would be, say we're taking some requests for this amount. Obviously it's not going to be pie in the sky, but I was thinking the exact same thing. That should be a good model for, saying we have some funds available and people can submit requests for certain things. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, Catherine, I'm thinking of a simplified version of like the capital committee project form.
I was hoping
just
you
having
were.
the budget, the explanation. Just to not, we don't have to reinvent things, but to simplify things.
Oh, we lost Sophie.
Yes, her connection's going in and out, but I know she and I are on that committee together, and I think she and I could come back with a draft of this simplified form before next month, because we will just adapt what we already have.
Okay, so we'll review that. But so what we'll do is we'll work on Alex's proposal first as an initial thing, and then hopefully we'll do that to carry over into the next fiscal year, where hopefully, knock on wood, we'll get more funds and we can make it a little bit more official for some items. That's great.
Great.
All right. We are nearing 4 o'clock. We already discussed the website. Other business. Did anybody have anything they wanted to bring up as other business? If not, I do want to remind people, next meeting is actually going to be earlier, I think, in June, because the 19th is Juneteenth. And I think a number of us, including myself, we're going to be gone the last week of June. So our next meeting is scheduled for June 12th, which is the second week of June as opposed to the third week of June. And I also understand that's the time a lot of people are away and doing things. So I'm expecting during the summer we'll have light load, but I think this is a productive meeting and we got some good things discussed. So if no one has anything else to bring up, we can adjourn for the day. All right, everyone. Take care.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. And Ethan, I'm saving this bad boy right now. And I will send it to you.
I actually just saved it as well, so maybe.
Okay. So you have it as well. Oh, so I just have to turn it on then, right?
I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me know if you didn't get it, because I just saved it. And if you get on your end, that's fine. I just turned on the captions, but if you don't have it, I can email it to you.
Great. Thank you, Nate.
All right. Take care. Bye.